everyone, it's Nina. Thanks so much for joining me today. Today I'm here with Pretty Pink Posh as we're celebrating a collaboration blog hop between Pretty Pink Posh and Avery Elle. During the next 2 days, you're going to see inspiration from the Pretty Pink Posh and Avery Elle design teams featuring Pretty Pink Posh and Avery Elle products. In my card, I'm going to be using a variety of Pretty Pink Posh products along with the Avery Elle Big Greeting stamp set. This is a pretty new stamp set from Avery Elle, and I absolutely love the fun, gorgeous script font that's included in this set. So let's get started and start creating our card. To begin with, I've taken two of the Pretty Pink Posh scallop frame dies. These are rectangles that have little scallop details and stitching on the edges. I'm going to be taping the two together. I've nested the smaller one into the larger one, and I'm going to tape them together so that way they stay in place for the entire time that I'll be die cutting. Here's a closer look at the dies. The reason I did this is because I'm going to be making quite a few cards using the same design, and I'm going to be die cutting a bunch of different papers from these scalloped frame dies. So I need the dies to stay in place so that way I can do my inlay die cutting. So my first color that I've used is some doll pink cardstock from Simon Says Stamp. Here's the larger rectangle. We're going to be needing this piece. We're also going to need the smaller rectangle, and we're also going to need that little negative piece that goes in between the two rectangles. However, we don't need the really big negative. You can see here that big negative that goes in the center of the smallest scallop die. We don't need that one. We're going to head and tuck that aside. You can use that for something else. I'm going to just be needing these negative pieces, these little frames basically. So I've die cut it from some white cardstock, again that dull pink, and now I'm also going to take some cotton candy cardstock. So I'm taking those little negatives from the die and I'm just tucking them aside so that way I make sure I keep them all together. And I'm going to be taking them to create inlay die cut frames. I'm also going to be mixing and matching the pieces together to do my inlay, just to give it a little bit extra color. This is going to be the same process for all the cards that I make. The only difference is that each frame is going to be different colors. So in this particular case, I'm starting with the cotton candy largest scallop rectangle. I'm going to nest that little negative piece right along the inside area of this die. So you can see I'm just running some liquid glue all around the edges. And then I'll go ahead and nest that along the edges of the scalloped rectangle die. You can see how it adds that nice dark pink pop of color. Once I press that down good, I'm going to add adhesive along the edges of the smallest scallop rectangle. And then I'll go ahead and nest that right inside those frames that we already laid down previously. And I'm laying all these frames down onto acetate. This is also known as window plastic. You can see I've done the same for some blue cardstocks. You can see I did all of the rectangles exactly the same. And for the blue ones, I've used Audrey blue, surf blue, and white cardstocks. So you can see it has the nice, beautiful blue combinations on that side and then the pinks on the left-hand side. So I'm going to go ahead and trim these down. I've got some excess transparency along the edges just so that way I made sure I had plenty of room. I'm going to start building my shaker now because I'm going to turn these little frames into shaker windows. So I'm taking some foam tape, and this is 1/2-inch foam tape from 3M. I'm applying it to the back side of all these frames, and I'm going to make sure I butt that foam tape right up against each other so that way there's no gaps that the sequins can slide out of. I'm going to do the same process for all of these frames, and there's going to be a total of 6 frames total. I ended up making a total of 6 cards. I really love that when you're creating cards, you can make multiples using the same design, and it doesn't really take that much more extra time because you've already got the supplies out and you can do each step all at once. Here are all my frames with all of the foam tape added on there. You can see they're ready to go. My next step was to create the backer piece for the shaker. And for this, I just heat embossed a lattice pattern to the background of this paper using some pearl embossing powder. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere these to the back side of the frames once I'm ready to do that. Next, it's time though to take the sequins for my shakers and apply them into my frames. So my first cards, I'm using the blue here. I'm using aquamarine, ocean spray, and I've used both 4mm and 6mm of both of those colors. I'm going to sprinkle those all around, and then I'm going to start taking some marshmallow 4mm and 6mm sequins. I'm going to sprinkle those in as well. And then my final sequin addition is going to be the mini stars confetti. This is going to be the silver color, and I'm just using that to add a little bit of extra sparkle and shine to the card and make it a little bit more festive. So you can see I'm just adding those little tiny stars all over. And I'm really filling these shaker cards up quite a bit because I want them to have a lot of color and beautiful sequins shaking around inside the card. They're not going to shake a whole lot, but they shake enough and they make that great shaker sound. So I really love that we added so much sequins to these cards. You can see how much color it really adds to these cards. So there's one of the shakers all put together, and I'm just getting those sequins to move around a bit. If you want the sequins to move a bit more, just use a second layer of foam tape, but I actually like that they don't shake around as much. Now for my pink cards, I'm going to be using a bunch of pink sequins, of course. So here I've got Fairy Tale Fuchsia, both in the 6mm and the 4mm size. I'm also going to be using the pink blush sequins. These are just some satin colored sequins, and I love the beautiful soft pink of them. I used both 6mm and 4mm of both of those. And then I'm also going to take some more marshmallow sequins, which I used on the blue cards. I'm going to fill up some of those little areas with the marshmallow 4mm and 6mm. And then for the star confetti, I'm going to be using the gold stars. And I love how the gold really matches that pink beautifully. So once I had those shakers all filled, I'm going to take my backer piece and apply this right on top. Just get that lined up completely. And then I'll go ahead and press that down and capture all those sequins right inside. And there I'm going to go ahead and shake it up a bit. You can see that beautiful shaker. Now here I've got all the shakers all finished and put together. So I've got the blue ones and the pink ones, and the blue one was tucked underneath the pink one there. So I just pulled that one out, and here you can see them all together. I just love how bright and fun they are, and really this didn't take me a whole lot of time to do. So now it's time to create my sentiments. So I'm going to take this beautiful happy birthday sentiment from Avery, Elle. This is from that big reading stamp set. I'm going to prep a piece of vellum, and I'm going to stamp that sentiment right there in the center. Now, I used a slightly larger piece of vellum for all of these because I wanted to make sure I had plenty of room, and I wanted to make sure that I also had an area to hold that I was going to heat emboss. But if you wanted to conserve on your vellum, just go ahead and use a slightly smaller piece. So I'm going to heat emboss this in gold embossing powder. The gold ones will be for the pink shakers, and then I'm going to heat emboss silver versions of this stamp with the silver embossing powder, and that's going to go for the blue cards. So here you can see I've got the sentiments. I fussy cut them all out with my fine tip scissors. There's a total of 6 of them because of course I'm putting them all on each card. To pop these up off of my card, I'm going to use some clear Cool Tack foam tape. I really love this clear tape because it's one of the only adhesives that does not show through your vellum very much. I mean, you can still see it a little bit, but compared to other foam tapes, this is completely invisible. So I'm going to go ahead and apply this down to hold my sentiment in place. And I love that it pops up off of the shaker really nicely. I'll go ahead and repeat this for all the cards and make sure I get them right there in the center. And I apply them down in a little bit of a jaunty angle. And that just helps make the card have a little bit more fun and festive feel. Okay, so now it's time to add a little bit more embellishing. I've die cut the twine and bows die from a bunch of silver foil sticker paper. This is printable foil that can be used with your silhouette machines. But I love using this for my cards because not only does it have the adhesive backing on the backside, but it also gives you that look of foil without having to have a laminator. So I'm going to apply this down along the bottom portion of my card, and I'm going to fold those little ribbon ends over the side just to help finish this off. And I did that for all the cards. I used silver for the blue cards and also gold for the pink just to tie everything together. So after I folded the little ribbon ends, I just take my little bow and I'm just bending the area of the foil paper together so that way I can try to get that adhesive backing off. And I'll just go ahead and plop that down right in the center of the little bow. And I love how this finishes off these cards. And this created just a gorgeous set. Here's a close-up look at all the cards I created using Pretty Pink Posh and Avery Elle products. And be sure to head on over to my blog where you can get more information on the Avery Elle and Pretty Pink Posh collaborations, because not only is there so much fantastic inspiration from all of the designers from the Pretty Pink Posh and Avery Elle teams, but there's also chances to win giveaways. So make sure you head on over to my blog to get links and information on all of that. And here's another video you might enjoy featuring Pretty Pink Posh exclusive products. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you can connect with me on social media at Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, as well as my blog. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again soon.